in mass media, I don't think there is an equal representation of many like racial backgrounds at all. So only when stuff happens, that's the only time that there isn't a representation, and it's only ever just blown out of proportion. That's it.
There's probably more white people, but on the news they might focus on stories where ethnic people have done something bad.
I think so, yeah. Like, I would have to agree with that. I do think there's a decent representation of them in the media. I would have to say, yeah. Yeah.
I'm here with Mr. Quacks. What is your opinion?
Oh. Possibly not. Do I know why? No. First thing in the morning I watch ABC News on 24 and I think they're all white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Yeah.
It's mixed. Because nowadays most movies like represent different types of culture.
I think that there is a really unequal representation of different races in our media right now. We're still really based in like a white middle class sort of ideal, and that shows in the media and all of the ads that we see on TV.
Definitely not. No, I feel like if anything, it's only when I guess a political issue comes up in the media, you'll maybe see something about our Indigenous community or maybe our migrants. There's so much stuff that's happening to our migrant communities, our refugees, our Indigenous population, and it just seems to get pushed aside, you know, to tell us that, you know, the princess has had her baby, or, you know, this actor won this award or have done that. But I think there's a lot of important societal issues that are happening to these minorities, and they definitely don't get enough media attention, and I feel like we should be using this platform to kind of communicate what's happening and engage people and make people more aware.
I just don't like the terminology of minority to begin with. I think in general, especially in Australia, it's a multicultural country, and the minorities make up actually the majority of the population, like if you think about it. And then in terms of media, you've got really bipolar views. So you got really, really good heartfelt stories and success stories, or you've got really, really negative stories that come from those racial minorities, and I think there really needs to be like an equal balance, and there is definitely not an equal depiction at all in the media.
I guess the first thing that I would say is I think they're all misrepresented and underrepresented by and large. And I think there's also an interesting question of representation versus like proper and sensible representation. You see Muslims portrayed in the media a lot, but it's done.
They're the villain or something.
Yeah, they're the villain, they're the terrorists, all this ridiculous sort of nonsense, and that's representation, but it's not worth its salt. I think people of colour tend to be like the friend or the bad guy, or never the love interest.
A lot of the time.
And not taken seriously. Yeah, definitely.
Like the black guy dies first or something.
Yeah.
I think internationally there is just not enough representation of things that are happening around the world.
Even if you do have someone who identifies as being a racial minority, they are depicted as assimilating to the majority culture.
I got a perfect example. Aladdin. Have you guys noticed how Aladdin, when he was like poor, he started off as like kind of dark skinned, and then he started getting rich, he was wearing all these good clothes, and his skin turned whiter. I picked it up the other week, I'm like, holy shit.